Like I earned enough, I can tell you that in my previous Google career. So like for now, I'm pretty good. I'm just enjoying life and empowering other people. I need to understand tech. Not really. You need to understand what you want, and that's a completely different thing.
Yeah. I'm just an interested person who's a novice. How can I make money using AI this week, this month, this year?
That's a great question.
Hello, friends. This week I'm talking with Alex Northstar, who is an ex Google AI facilitator who has been advising businesses on how to get the most out of AI. He's going to be teaching me about how to supercharge processes, become mega efficient, and essentially make cash using the power of AI. Let's get into it. Alex Northstar, welcome to the pod. How are you doing?
Hello, Tom. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to talk with you today. How are you doing?
Yeah, I am. I'm pretty good, thanks. Yeah, pretty good day. Been enjoying playing around with the GPT-4 API today during my day job. So
I
yeah,
love
I'm
to
sure
hear
we
it.
will. Yeah, all very relevant to the conversation. So I'm sure we can get onto that. So
Hmm.
look, I would love to get into all of the good AI stuff that we want to talk about. But firstly, I would love to get a bit of an intro just to you, your background, and how you have found yourself operating in the exciting world of artificial intelligence.
That's a good question because people don't expect them when I tell them that I started this since 2018, right? Because you see nowadays, like AI is a trend, like everybody's starting a bit to hop on board. Some people are starting to use it, some people are saying it's just a fad. Now, in my case, I was a corporate trainer in Berlin working basically with a company together with Google. So my role was just a bit to upskill people. I was used to teach them like marketing, sales, customer service, a diversity of roles because I worked as like a learning and development specialist and also like a corporate trainer. Now, regarding the AI part, is that I actually did my master's thesis in 2018 on chatbots. And back in that time, it was not cool at all to talk about, like chatbots, artificial intelligence. Nobody cared about that. I remember like I used to do research on the movie Her and all of the stuff on Black Mirror, and people are like, "What is this? Like, what?" We
Yeah.
don't
I
even
love that
follow it. Like,
movie.
and nowadays, yeah, it's a great movie. And nowadays, people are like, I've seen them. They're like making posts about how to use ChatGPT for emotional resilience, and then they put the image of the movie Her. It's like, yeah, finally, it took you guys 5 years, but now you're finally here. Fi finding this reference. Yeah, but to go back to the question, so yeah, I started basically as a corporate trainer. I liked basically helping people, transforming them, and helping them upskill themselves, like being able to do the job properly, being efficient, getting a higher position. So I love this kind of like the coaching part. I was not a great fan though, a bit sometimes just the other things, the more technical stuff in terms of like, advertising. Because I was responsible for advertising. I worked a lot with the big German clients, but it wasn't really my cup of tea, I have to be honest with you. Like, I think I wasn't one of those ch children, where like you're 5 years old. Like, what do you want to do when you grow up? Oh, I want to be a Google Ads expert. I like, yeah, not really. But AI was something that always fascinated me, and I started seeing the potential. When ChatGPT was a bit more efficient in these last like 1 year, 1 year and a half, I was like, this is a game changer. Because I knew already, from 2018, where like back in the days, these like primitive chatbots were decent, but you can notice that they were very limited. With ChatGPT, I didn't have the same feeling. So when I noticed this huge jump in capability, I was like, this is big. And then I started experimenting more and more, asking it questions, even because I'm a curious person sometimes, I'd ask it question like, what started first, like the egg or the chicken? And fun thing, you can get the answer for this if you ask it. I'm not going to spoil it, but ask it. Go and ask it. What was first, the egg or the chicken? So with these
Okay,
kind of
well,
things, like
if you
experimenting,
if
following
you
curiosity.
if you listen very carefully, that's the sound of every single listener frantically bringing up the Chat GPT box to ask about the egg and the chicken.
Yeah,
Sorry, I interrupted you. That is
yeah,
definitely
no.
what I'll be doing as soon as we're finished recording. Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
So
Go ahead.
no, yeah, this was just a little bit of an intro. So basically, I started with chatbots since like 2018. I worked as a corporate trainer together with Google. And then now I'm basically like an independent consultant. Like I wanted to have my own thing. I wanted to do something more impactful. And I was like, you know what? I had a lot of experience gained in the corporate world, but I would love to take more responsibility for myself, for what I do, for the products I deliver out there in the world. And this year, I basically started a bit my journey as a content creator, as a consultant, And it's been a wild ride. As a solopreneur, the fact that I'm enhanced by AI definitely made the journey a lot easier. But it's a journey. It's a journey, I can tell you that. Yeah.
You're an AI facilitator, which
Yes.
I found interesting. And the reason I found that interesting is because there are many different jobs that are springing up because of AI. One of the big talking points around AI is what will be the balance of job creation versus job destruction. Now, AI facilitator clearly is one that's been created. It's not one that I had ever heard before. So, what exactly does an AI facilitator do?
Right. So basically, what I try to do with my role, and I'm not the only one doing this, is trying to bridge the gap between the AI developers, experts in the technology out there, and the people who are not leveraging it. There are people who, for example, didn't notice the capabilities of it, are not leveraging it yet. So my role is essentially to take all of this complex tools, plugins, software, all of this stuff that's out there, and deliver it in a more comprehensible way to people who never used it maybe in their whole lives. They're like, oh yeah, I saw in the news ChatGPT, but I don't know how to use it for myself. So I can tell them, it's like, what would you like to implement it for? And they tell me, I want to become a copywriter. I want to write my book. I want to use it to do, I don't know, to do some research for my own company, for branding and stuff like that. So I was like, all right, I'm the one doing the research for you in the background for all the most complex stuff. And I show you the stuff that you can directly use. So it's like you're taking, like, the way I see it, I'm a bit of a chef, right? Because I'm taking all of these AI ingredients in the background, like oil, flour, salt, and all of this, and I'm giving you the bread, and you can eat it.
Okay, okay, delicious. Love bread.
Yeah, because
Trying
I
to
come
cut
from
down.
Italy, so like I try to use like food metaphors, just to for the cliches, like Italian with good food. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Nice, nice, nice. Yeah, love Italian food. Although I try not to go too carb heavy these days. I put it on around the waist. But anyway,
I go running.
so
I go running usually. I just do a bit of
nice
jogging so I can fit in, a couple of pizzas per week.
and lovely, lovely. Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
So look, the interesting thing I think about ChatGPT and AI tools more generally is that actually ChatGPT is quite easy to use because if there's something that you don't know how to do, you can just ask ChatGPT how to do it, right? I suppose the more challenging aspect of it is in all of the tools that people are building on top, right? And keeping up to date with all of the different various tools that you can use. So is that how you see your job breaking out? Are you more recommending on various other different AI tools, or is it literally like prompt engineering, helping people get the best out of ChatGPT itself?
To be honest, it can be a multitude of things depending on the client's needs. Now, this is just a bit that goes in the direction of like what is consulting in my mind, like what is good consulting? It's basically asking my clients or the people I work with, like in-depth questions to understand what they really need. So, for example, they can come at you with some tasks which are like to me they're simple, for them they are not. And if I think in my mind it's like, listen, you just need ChatGPT for this, there's no need for me to throw at them, like 20 different tools because that's going to make their lives harder. This is why, like, so again, my role is just to simplify things. And I can tell you also something a bit more because, for example, you would say ChatGPT is easy to use. Yes, and it's difficult to master because again, we're talking about prompt engineering here, which is a bit of another
Yeah, yeah.
topic. But the thing is, right, there's ways and ways of asking a question. So there, you would go there and it's like, oh, I need the recipe for a cake. It will give you the recipe for a cake. It's going to be a bit like, nothing crazy. Some, I don't know, it depends on what it wants to do, but it's not going to give you nothing crazy. But
It's okay. You can say it's going to be a shit cake.
it's going to be a very generic, bland
Yeah,
cake.
yeah, generic cake. Yeah, yeah.
But if you know how to prompt it, so if you're going to say it's like you are an expert French patisserie, chef. I want you to give me the recipe for the best cake you can make in 4 hours. I want you to use these following ingredients. You're going to get a banger cake.
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
what's
That's
the limit
interesting,
here? You
isn't it?
see, it's the imagination the limit here. That's the thing. And some people, if you never used it, you don't have this kind of like critical thinking sometimes because people are, it's not like I would say like, oh, people are not smart enough to use it. They're just not used to thinking how to speak with the machine,
Yeah,
which is a
yeah.
skill in itself.
Totally, totally. I mean, the thing I find when I'm interacting with it is that really all I'm trying to do is articulate my own thoughts. And by doing so, you realize how difficult it is just to articulate all of the things that are happening in your brain simultaneously. Like it's part of the reason why just writing generally, pre AI,
Yeah,
is such a good exercise and a good thing to learn how to do because it helps you articulate yourself. And I think using ChatGPT really brings home how much nuance and context there is inside your own brain that you need to learn how to articulate properly. So is that kind of what your task is, right? Is to teach people how to
absolutely.
articulate themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is why it's such a meta skill sometimes, because people will
Yeah.
think it's like, oh, it's a tech thing. I need to understand tech. Not really. You need to understand what you want. And that's a
Yeah.
completely different thing,
Yeah.
because I've been doing, for example, I've been doing like journaling since like 4 years, and it's really helped me out, have clarity on my life. And even when I talk to people, like one of the little nuggets I give to my clients, it's like you need to think like it's a super intelligent intern. So it has the capabilities, it can help you, but you need to tell it what to do and how. And there's a difference, between a competent boss or a manager, who tells it like, hey, here's the documentation, here's what I want you to reach, here's the deadline, here are some constraints, here are some rules, go out there and get me the best results. Meanwhile, you have a boss who tells like, hey, I have these 10 papers, give me a report. On what? How? How should it be
Yeah.
written, And it was like the same concept like with humans. This is why I tell them like when sometimes with my clients, the more business ones, for people who are like a bit maybe perhaps older, and I tell them with this kind of metaphor, it's like, hey, think about it as it was your young, intern. So they are eager to learn, they're eager to deliver to you results, but you gotta tell it the precise instructions.
Yeah. I like that analogy, the intern thing. It's
Yeah,
like that. Yeah. That's a good way of thinking about it. Um,
there's a reason why I'm an AI facilitator because I can use metaphors to facilitate the understanding of this.
yeah, God, you're good at this.
Thank
Yeah,
you,
no,
Tom. It's very nice.
it is a good analogy because it's intelligent, but it's not necessarily wise, right?
Yeah,
Because
very
wisdom is
good.
something that
Exactly.
you build up over time. Yeah, I
Very
think that
good.
really works.
I think I have potential. You
Um,
should use AI more. Like I see you're a good learner.
sure, yeah, sure thing. Yeah, maybe I could be a facilitator one day. Um, but yeah, so there's presumably quite a lot of demand for AI facilitators. I feel like because people like you and I, and probably to be honest, anyone listening to this or watching this, it's a tech podcast, so
Yeah.
most people will have been ahead of the curve on this. But you don't realize just how many people really don't really even know what ChatGPT is, or aren't especially impressed by it. And I think you see in business, well, in my line of work anyway, I work with tech companies, so
Yeah.
they are all aware of it as well and trying to understand how they can fit it into their workflows. And I think you don't realize how much the rest of society hasn't really come along with this yet and doesn't really know what's coming.
I
Like
can tell you a little. Yeah.
what kind of people are you finding that are getting in touch with you? Is it technologists or is it people just trying to find out what the hell this thing is?
It's a combination. I mean, before answering this question, I can tell you like a little story what happened because 2 days ago, where I am staying right now, in this like digital nomad village in Bulgaria, because I was like, I'm a digital nomad. I travel around places. I've been to Greece, to like Spain. It's nice, it's one of the benefits of the job.
Yeah, sounds great.
So
Yeah, hit me
there's
up
like a
if you're
little,
in London.
yeah, yeah. I've been to London. It's really nice. The thing is, for example, there's like this community of digital nomads here. So these are people who make their living on the internet. And in my mind, like they're nice people. So I wanted to do like an AI upskilling session for them, because every Monday we have like business meetings here, to see how things go. And I am basically at the moment here in this village, I'm like the AI guy. So I was like, you know what? I want to give you a free session because a lot of the times I'm open to giving people like a free phone call or something like that, because it's not like I have to sell all the time. Like I earned enough, I can tell you that in my previous Google career. So like for now, I'm pretty good. I'm just enjoying life and empowering other people, developing also myself a bit. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this free session. I had like 20 people there listening intently, and one of the questions I got from somebody at one point, he's like, "What exactly do you mean with this prompting stuff? Prompting?" And it hit really hard because again, we are in the tech bubble, right? We're like, yeah, of course, ChatGPT 4, yeah, plugins and this and that. And then you have normal people who heard about the name, but you tell them 4.0 plugins, prompting, and they're like, what exactly is that? And these are the people for who I am a bit afraid. Because you see, we both know that things are going to change and they're going to change really fast. And I think, like, I don't want to be, like the doom guy or anything. That's not the point. But a lot of the times you see on these newspapers, AI stealing jobs. It's not the truth. It's not the AI that's stealing jobs. It's people using AI that are becoming really efficient. One of my clients, he wanted to read that. He, for example, he wanted to write his own book like in 1 month. And I told him, with what I know, we can do this. And he did it, right? But now, if you take my client and you could compare it to somebody who's like, he's writing his book and it takes this person or her like 12 months. I mean, you have a huge tactical advantage here. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
that's why
that's
the
it.
thing is like it's not a ChatGPT stealing the job of writers. It's like people who are using it to be faster and better, and they're doing it, yeah, in an enhanced way. So the question is, are you going to leverage these tools or are you going to ignore them? But again, I know this saying, like I even read it like a couple of months ago. Just because you don't like a technology doesn't mean you're going to stop.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the book example, I would feel a bit um, shortchanged if,
Hmm.
like, I feel like a book, like a novel, like that. There's something about that that kind of like I feel mental friction about wanting
Hmm.
to go all in on books written by AIs because I feel like it's not plagiarism, but it's somewhere in between writing it yourself and plagiarism, because you've had help from all of the other
Absolutely.
people that
Yeah.
have ever written a book or a blog or anything are kind of doing the hard hard part for you as a novelist.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you disagree with that. What do you think?
It's a controversial topic, I'm not going to lie. The requests
Yeah.
I get from my clients, there are people who are ambitious and they want to get a leg up on the competition. It's like, of course, I don't teach people how to hack credit cards with ChatGPT for all the listeners. But there are ways that you can use it, to make yourself smarter. And if they're like, okay, there's also ethics here. Let's not, because in his mind, for what he did, it wasn't a book about making money. It was a book about like financial safety and a couple of other things, which I found okay. And that's why
Yeah.
I
I
supported
guess
him in
maybe it's
this
different.
endeavor.
If it's
Yeah,
non-fiction, maybe it's different.
no, but
I,
what I
I
wanted to say is like it's a bit controversial because yeah, a lot of people would say like, but you kind of skip the steps, it's supposed to take you 1 year. Now, the thing though, I also because I discussed a lot with even like with the AI artists because I'm connected with many creators and they get a lot of, heat for like they're like, ah, but it's not art, it's made with AI. But the question is, if for the readers, if for your audience is impactful, right? You show them an image made with Midjourney and it's like, man, this is really powerful,
mm,
where do you draw the line between
yeah,
AI art, written like enhanced with ChatGPT if it's good? And that's
yeah,
again, it goes back to the operator, to the person prompting, to the person doing proofreading, for example, right? Because you can get the output from ChatGPT, but then of course you improve it, you add your own story, you add different things to improve it basically on, you don't copy paste it or let it substitute you enhance yourself. And
yeah.
this is why at the end of the day, I kind of tell people, it's like, listen, now we're making all of this controversy, but in 1 or 2 years, nobody's going to care anymore. They're going to care is like, is your art or what you produce good or not?
Yeah, yeah, totally. So I've actually got a piece of AI art up on my wall in my house. So
Yeah, you
my,
see?
I got so it wasn't actually Midjourney. It was DALL-E 2, which is the OpenAI version, which
Yeah.
isn't as good, but it's a pomegranate tree in the style of Monet, right? And it's beautiful. Like it's lovely.
Yeah, you see?
But right, yeah, yeah, look, but and it's just on my wall in my house. I did it as a sort of surprise for my wife, who also loved it. Like and I
You
blew it up
see?
in Photoshop, put it on a canvas. So yeah, look, I totally get it. And the art thing, you can make beautiful stuff. And the process of art as a human is just studying lots and lots of different artists, copying them for quite a long time, and then making your own development on their work, right? And then people that do that really well create something brand new. That's really all
Yeah.
that the AI is doing, just on a massive, massive scale. So I think with the art thing, look, I suppose it's no different to writing a book, really. Maybe I'm just, as a former journalist, prissy
It
about
hurts.
the
It hurts a
word.
bit, when you think it's like it
Yeah,
shouldn't be that easy.
yeah. Do you
Things
ever
change.
wonder if any of your anything that you've written is in the training data set for ChatGPT? That'd be
For
weird, wouldn't
sure.
it?
For sure, it will be. But then at the end of the day, right, because you think it's in the training data set of ChatGPT, but before, when you used to write on the internet, you used to publish your blogs, what, you think people would not rip it off?
Yeah, true, true. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Very true, very true. So look, in general, then, so you've touched on a couple of things about jobs being taken, about these kind of ethical considerations with art. Broadly, are you optimistic about the future of AI? And just for context, the last podcast episode I had Liron Shapira, who was very, very pessimistic on the long-term future of AI. He foresees significant disaster for humanity with superintelligence getting out of control. So I kind of feel strange having a much more optimistic conversation, but I think I'm a natural optimist. So I do find it difficult to kind of comprehend where we're going. But what's your take? How optimistic are you on the future of AI generally?
I can tell you two things, two perspectives I have. So one of them would be the general one, which I think it is a very powerful instrument that can help us a lot. Because this was like, for example, mentioned in the XAI, like when Elon Musk was talking about this, when they started, and it's like, we're using ChatGPT for all these tasks, for example, like all this AI, to like for marketing, business operations, and all of this. But we could totally implement it for our biggest challenges, for like, like solving world hunger, fixing medical issues, thinking about going on different planets. So this, for example, it's a really fascinating path that we can take AI on because we're working on this to find solutions. AI is enabling us to, skip the steps. So why not feed it our biggest problems and let it solve it for us? So generally, it has also potential to do immense good for a faster, better future. Now, this is the first perspective. The other one is a more like local one where I'm an optimist because I work towards this positive future. So in my mind, if I tell you, yes, people who are not leveraging AI will get left behind and it will be a problem. And I am the one who's actually going to people and it's like, hey, allow me to help you to, catch up to the times. Allow me to help you to make you faster with AI, so you don't lose your job, so you can still feel safe, you can still feel efficient. So I am actively working toward like not getting people fired because of AI.
So, like, I'm totally with you, and I think that that is a really beautiful thought. So, like, the yeah, I won't go into too much detail about the Doomerism point of view. Are you aware of Doomerism and not kill
Yeah.
everyoneism? Yeah, sure. So, the feeding the AI our biggest, most significant problems to solve would be anathema to them because they would say, well, there will be unintended consequences. It will have goals, instrumental goals. It will causally map back from the final goal, intermediate objectives, and those will be completely unpredictable and will likely involve a calamity for humankind, which I'm
I
still
don't
kind of
really, I don't see it
but
in this direction. For
you
example,
don't.
one of the little reasons, no, because like one of the little reasonings I can tell you, like, so people have this natural tendency. Like also, like I read hundreds of books on psychology and this kind of stuff because I like psychology is one of the topics that really interests me, and we have a strong tendency to anthropomorphize things. I mean,
We
in terms of
do,
like the
yeah.
AI, yeah, and like, oh, it has feelings, right? It can, it's like, well, not really. The way it's programmed, all of these things that we put in the rules, it's made at the end of the day to serve us. If you think about for like the robot, because I remember this, I was like, it was a joke on the internet or something, like with factory worker robots. And for example, you wouldn't want a factory worker robot to have emotions, to tell you like, oh, today, I'm feeling blue. I'm not in the mood to work. Let's get coffee. Like you want them to be efficient machines. You ask them X, they do X. And the thing is, at the moment, that's how we program them. Now, unless we're gonna have bad agents, telling them it's like, hey, I want an AI with emotions that wants to destroy humanity, and good luck programming that. At the moment, they are at the end just tools. They're just tools, and it's up to you to give them the input. It's like, hey, I need help building a car. I need help going on Mars. Can you fix me the recipe for omelette? If you don't give it nothing, it's not gonna do nothing. So like this is why I don't necessarily see when people saying like, oh, it's gonna have its own mind and it's gonna try to destroy humanity. what? Like, why?
Well, I suppose the argument is that it doesn't need to have emotion in order to have autonomy, and it can cause. So this is this is the exact conversation I was having on the pod last week. So I won't go back over it too much, but the idea would be that it doesn't need to have emotions or wants in order to just see instrumental goals on the way to its final objective. So, like a self-driving car, you'll send it to drive to the other side of the city. It will go, I'll drive to the end of this road, I'll turn left, I'll drive to the end of that road, I'll
Yeah.
turn right. Instrumental goals. And the point being that something that's far, far, far more intelligent than us, so not the current GPT models, but GPT 9 or 10 or whatever,
Yeah.
might have steps in between that we could never possibly foresee because we're just dumb, stupid apes, and the AI is vastly more intelligent than us.
Yet we are still the ones programming it. So you would
We
see that
are,
a lot
yes.
of this is why. So you would see
Yeah.
that a lot of programmers, for example, like you cannot really make ChatGPT curse. You go to Midjourney, you're not going to make like pornography. So as I said, unless you're going to have bad actors who really want to see the world burn, you're going to have
Mm.
those engineers working on ChatGPT 5, 6, 7, who are going to say, it's like, hey, before we build this, we're going to input the rules in it to control it, and we're going to put the kill switch in it. And then you already have people, for example, like Elon Musk. You had also like this the thing from Google, that's basically to this partnership to promote responsible AI, this frontier model forum. So you're already seeing that people are already raising awareness on this. So ChatGPT 4 is harmless, and people are already raising awareness. So it's not like we're just going to blindly proceed with this. So this is why the way I see it, we're slowly managing it. And I do not see this catastrophism where it's like, oh, we don't have any control on ChatGPT 9. I mean, we're making it.
True. Well, I mean, this is a refreshingly optimistic take. You're making me feel a bit better about the about our about our
Because I know
prospects
smart
already.
people, because I know smart people, like I work together with them, with engineers, people who are like much smarter than
Yeah.
me. I train them with like soft skills, with other types of skills they needed. And I know that these people think about these further consequences. They're like, hey, I can program
Yeah.
this, but what are the future ramifications? All right, we will need some security system. We need a kill switch. We need different methods, to make this ethical and useful to people. We're not gonna make a bot that's gonna steal your money.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, there are very smart people that are very worried about it as well. But anyway,
Yeah.
let's leave the doomer argument aside because as I said, I want this to be a more optimistic and um, short, maybe a bit more short
Positive
term,
oriented, like a bit more
optimistic
like
than
more
yeah,
useful AI episode, not necessarily like it's
yes,
gonna destroy us, it's gonna help us do our homework.
exactly, exactly. So where are in that vein then, with that in mind? Where are you seeing the most impact in your work? Like what workflows, what kinds of jobs are being turbocharged? Like where is the big low hanging fruit that's really driving value for people that you're working with?
Brainstorming. And this is a
Okay.
particular thing because you would think, it's like what does that mean, like brainstorming? Well, the thing is before you would need to have access, to different consultants. You would need to have access to a team, of people and go back and forth, pitch ideas, see how it goes. Meanwhile, one of the biggest uses I found, like the more critical thinking you have and the more creative you want to be, you can essentially ask questions to the AI, to the machine, and you can get a lot of ideas on how you want to implement stuff, how you want to improve your business. And it has already all this immense data set. So what happens to me is like, for example, if I want to, I need to do public speaking, right? Now, I could either hire Tony Robbins for like $10,000 per hour, or I could go to ChatGPT 4, tell it like, hey, you are Tony Robbins, you're one of the best speakers in the world. I want to deliver a presentation on croissants and AI. I want you to engage the public. I want you to give them an amazing emotional story, and I want you to make them that at the end of my presentation, they're going to buy my $5,000 course. So you give it very specific indications. You tell it how you want it to be, and I essentially get the help from Tony Robbins to talk about croissants for free
Yeah.
or $20, like per month, the
Yeah.
subscription.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Well,
that's, for
yeah. You
example,
can,
it's super useful. Sometimes, for example, I ask it for business ideas. So like, because it's a very fast-paced environment, especially in tech. And a lot of the times it's all about making quick decisions, not necessarily the smartest ones, but quick, action oriented. So I would go at it, and ask it, hey, you're a business consultant. I need to prepare a new product for my clients. What do you think it will work better? Give me a 10 plan, a 10, like a list of 10 possibilities with your reasoning. Again, for the people listening here, you either already know this, or if you don't know this, you might want to take notes. But you'd use it to get like a list of questions or a list of ideas. And what happens to me like 80% of the time, so out of these 10 ideas, 8 of them are okay, a couple of them are very good. And again, I'm telling you this because like these 2 very good ideas, I got them in the span of 30 seconds. And I could keep reiterating on this, like I refeed these ideas, and I give me more input. How can I implement this? Give me the step-by-step breakdown. And this kind of leverage, this kind of like planned quick action is something that we never had. You always had to reach out to somebody, you had to think, you had to first iterate and get some feedback. Now here, it's a very fast action loop. And you can see that people are having success with it. Like the people are implementing this. I know like developers who managed to become 3 times faster. You have artists who are able to create amazing designs for their clients. You have writers who are able to make better writing, like for what they want to do and publish more books for their fans, and people love them. So I can see the results, the impacts on people who want to become advanced in this, and it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, yeah. I find one of the interesting things to do is there's a name for it, but when it gives you an answer and then you ask it to check its own homework, so you say, now critique your answer and tell me what could have been better, and then it will iterate over its own thoughts and improve. And you can do that. You can do that a number of times.
This is one of my secret prompts, basically. Yeah. It's like the meta prompt, I call it, where it's like it's essentially, I don't know if we can add notes at the end of this show or in the description. I can totally share with you this.
I'll put notes in the description.
I'm gonna give it to you for free, because basically this is this meta prompt which I use like 50% of my requests, because what you tell it is basically, it's like, hey, give me the answers as ChatGPT, then rethink them 10 times and give me the most concise, most like smart answers that you can get. And the structure that you get is beautiful, because every time I show this to my clients, they're blown away by it, because you have the basic generic answers from ChatGPT, and then you see under it the structure of like the meta GPT, like the smart GPT, which is like 10 times longer and better and in-depth. And people are like, oh, so I've been using ChatGPT in beginner mode for all of these months. Damn.
Right. Yeah.
Because you can ask it. You just go to it and like, hey, I want you to be 10 times smarter. Boom. With humans, well, you either have to triple their salaries, or I don't know how to get that kind of higher IQ very fast.
Give them ChatGPT.
$10, $20 subscription, easy.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's so many different ideas on prompting, isn't there? So, would you describe yourself then as a prompt engineer as well? Is that something that you spend a lot of time thinking about and working on?
Absolutely. I mean, it is part of my duties, because sometimes, for example, what I teach people, one of my modules for my consultations is like basically the prompting mindset. Because people think, you can just give them like a ready-made solution. Or it's like, hey, I need prompts. I have the prompts. Now I can apply them and I find success. I wouldn't advise going this direction. What I want to develop, for example, with my clients or my friends or the people I work with, is just like the mindset of, because you also mentioned this, you see, because you're already like, the more you use it, it's a skill. So you need to understand how the machine interprets your requests and how to make these requests. That's why, for example, like my prompts are like longer, there's a specific structure to them. And it is part of the things I do, part of my task is prompt engineering and getting better every day working with this. For example, with B2B clients, right? They have specific workflows that they want to improve. And there, it's not enough that you give them a little prompt like, hey, I want to improve our landing page conversion rate by 5%. You need to tell it like in what direction, how do you want to achieve this like in a 2-week goal, with what changes and all of this to the whole structure of their website or company. So I need to first think about this and then try it out. And then based on how the machine reacts, then I would go back to the people and tell like, hey, I would advise you to think in the following way when you prompt it. Because that's how you get the maximum results. And like if you want, because if you don't do this kind of like prompt mindset thing, well, at the end of the day, it's like I like to teach people how to fish. I don't give them fish.
Nice. Look, I think that it's interesting the variety in GPT's performance when you change how much you know yourself. So I find if I'm a complete novice at something, if I'm learning about something I don't know anything about, it's brilliant because it will give me a really nice top level generic review of whatever subject it is that I'm asking about. And if I'm really, really, really an expert, something that I know really well, then I also get really great results because I can tell it exactly what I want. And this is because I'm like you, I've thought quite a lot about how I'm prompting and all of that stuff. So I can give it lots of context. But when it's in the middle, it's like I know that there's stuff I don't know, but I don't know what things I don't know almost. It's like I don't know where to zoom in on specificity in order to get the best output. Do you understand what I mean? Like, is that
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No, no,
come
absolutely.
across?
I was gonna make the joke. In this case, you would come to me, and I would help you to reach the advanced level. But no, I'm just joking. Like, no, no. But it's a valid point. Like, it's a valid point, because that's where some people, they don't know where's you kind of reach a plateau, where like you're a beginner and you get, as you said, great output, and it's like it's helpful to know the basics, and then you learn a bit more, and then how do you reach these high levels, where you can implement it in your daily workflows? And again, that's something that I would advise people again to do like an in-depth breakdown of what they do every day and find the repetitive tasks. Find the tasks that you want to delegate to ChatGPT and the ones that you don't. For example, like in my meetings, there are some things I could automate in terms of like my notes or the planning of the meeting and stuff like that. But in terms of like interacting with the humans, and it's like seeing what they say, how they say, a tone of voice. This is something that remains human, and I care about this. And I think it's not something that I would want to delegate, to the machine telling me like, oh, this person seems sad, so I would proceed this and that. This is why it depends first on you to understand yourself better at what level you are, and then get the help specifically what you want. Because, right, when you're a beginner, you need everything, and it's fine. When you're advanced, you reach this plateau where you're like, I don't know how to put it to the next level. And the advice I give to people, is like, if you want to reach the next level, understand first for you, what is the next level? And then you go looking for
Mm.
resources. How do I implement ChatGPT for expert copywriting? To do tax advice, to, I don't know, create for me a short animation movie, to make for me, for example, the song Frank Sinatra, Gangster's Paradise. Have you heard that?
Uh, it's one of those mashups.
It's amazing.
I
It's
don't
so
think I've
good. I
heard that
love
one.
it. You
I
you got
heard
it. Again,
I heard
put also this one in the description because the people are gonna love it. It's so good.
sure. There's one of Johnny Cash doing like
Barbie
Barbie
Girl.
Girl or something. Yeah.
I know all of them. I know all
Um,
of them.
okay. Okay. Great. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're amazing. They're amazing. I mean, yeah, I don't really even understand how they do that.
But you see, because they
It's
are advanced and they know what they want to do, that's the difference, you see? Because in their
yeah.
case, they're, for
Yeah.
example, musicians who maybe already started implementing AI and they're like, hey, I have enough knowledge to know how I want to put this to the next level. So they actually
Mm.
go and look for these advanced resources. It all starts with awareness of what exactly do you need.
Yeah. Yeah. I had a previous guest, a guy called Benji Vaughan, who's a music producer, like a techno producer, and
Hmm.
he's built his own large language model that he got from Hugging Face, and he's using it. He says to just create mad noises. He's asking it for like it's just giving him crazy noise that that he's never heard before, and then he's just dropping
Yeah,
it into like Ableton or whatever, and creating music with it, which
yeah.
is novel. Like he'll say, I can't remember what he said. Like he wants to replicate the noise of like someone throwing a sink down the stairs. It was something like that. I can't remember now, but yeah, it was interesting. Okay, so look, we haven't really touched on solopreneurialism yet, so I want to just quickly touch on that. I'm slightly aware of time; we don't have too much longer,
Mm.
but so say I'm just an interested person who's a novice. How can I make money using AI this week, this month, this year?
That's a great question. First, you want to develop with the help of AI the money making skills, which would be, for example, like copywriting, branding, sales, per se. Let's start really simple. I don't need to complicate this. So the thing is, you can get, of course, expert coaching and all of this, but there are ways already to implement this. So if we're talking about, right, First, copywriting. It's the front end of the internet. Like all we do, you go on Twitter, wherever you go, you read stuff. So you want to make that impactful. You want to make it persuasive. I would go to ChatGPT and you tell it, like, hey, I want to write in a persuasive way. You're an expert copywriter. I want to talk about this topic. Help me out. So that you're already starting to learn how to be a persuasive copywriter, because it's a start. Get people involved in your content. You want to do branding, which is also what I use for myself, for example. So you have Midjourney. So you could pay a graphic designer $500 or more. I usually get in trouble with graphic designers. There's one of my enemies, but it is what it is. As I said, you can hate the technology, but you cannot stop it. So I don't need graphic designers. I became a graphic designer like in 3 weeks. And people love my designs. And they're like, hey, I would love to know how you do all this branding stuff. And I can show it to them. But again, it's a thing that's done with AI and it's very effective. And it shows, that you're a brand, you're an established person that knows what they're doing. Helps you out with credibility and authority. And then, you would close it with sales because you establish, for example, copywriting. You have a product or something. You have a consistent brand. And then you want to maybe close some deals, make some money. And at this point, you never did sales in your whole life. You're on the internet. You just started. So what do? Well, you go to ChatGPT. You tell it you're an expert salesman. I have this product. Show me ways how I can sell it to different cohorts of people. How should I talk with them? How should I pitch it? What should be my tone of voice? And it knows how to help you with this. So this is a way that before you would not have access to this kind of fast leverage, right? You'd have to develop with years all those skills of just like writing. Let me go to some graphic designers. I don't know how to sell. I don't make money. With all of this that you have right now, with $20 plus $10 with Midjourney subscription, so with $30 in my pocket, you're able to create a powerful brand on the internet and sell something. It depends on you again, because it's not made to substitute you. I don't tell to people, it's like, oh, ChatGPT is an automatic money-making machine. You see those threads, they go viral. I hate them. I never produce those ones. Because the idea is that you, enhanced by AI, can become a money-making machine. Yeah. But the thing is, you need to know what you're going to do and how to do it, and AI is going to help you with this. So start doing it today.
Yeah. And I suppose, I totally agree with your point that there's no get rich quick scheme with AI, right? I mean, you potentially
get rich. There is with AI, which is interesting. Get rich faster. There's no get rich quick, but with AI, there's a get rich faster, and it really works.
Or I should say, there's no get rich with zero effort scheme, right?
No,
because you still need the impetus to go out and do it yourself. You still need the original idea, even if you're asking GPT for ideas, and you're still competing with lots of other people who also have GPT, right? So if you've got an original idea, then maybe you've got zero competition. But in most lines of business, you're going to have competition, right? And most people at the front are going to be using AI themselves, right? So I guess my take on it is almost like, because I'm like you, I'm sure, thinking about this all the goddamn time, right? About different tools and everything. And my assumption is that I'm running just to keep up, just to stay somewhere near because I'm obviously not at the front of the pack on any of this, but somewhere near, so that I'm not one of the ones getting left all the way behind. Right?
Very good point of view. Yeah, that's very good to have. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so tools. Then we've spoken a lot about GPT. We've mentioned Midjourney. We've got this, some great advice and tips on how you can go about turning your business dreams into a reality. Are there any other tools out there that have perhaps been built on the GPT API, or that are entirely different platforms that you're using that you think are exciting or interesting that people should be checking out?
There are thousands of tools every day, like thousands of tools that are appearing like mushrooms per week, and I can tell you 90% of them are very redundant. I can literally do what they do, yes, because what they can do, I can do with plugins in GPT-4.
Yeah.
So the thing is,
all of what are your favorite plugins?
Exactly. So these ones, for example, I use a combination of them, and they're for example, I can give a case study. How would before last year, how would you consume YouTube, which is like a free resource database, right? You want to learn about I don't know, programming, arts, psychology. You would go on YouTube and you would watch a video. It would be 30 minutes. You consume it. You take notes. What I do is, for example, I have the plugins video insights combined with Zapier, with the Zapier plugin. So what I do is, what Video Insight does, you give it the link to a YouTube video, and I tell it, give me a bullet point summary of this YouTube video and apply it to my current project, which is learning Spanish. Then I tell it, okay, with these bullet points, write to me a Google Doc that I can forward to my Spanish teacher or something like that. So what it does in the span of 30 seconds is not me consuming 20 minutes of Spanish video. It's just me having an actionable document of things I need to do to learn Spanish in like 1 week based on this video. So I essentially cut a lot of part of the consumption, like me watching this video for 20 minutes, which I can spend now on practicing actionable tips that I got from my Spanish GPT tutor. This is a possible
Yeah.
use case. Another one, for
Yes.
example, would be like ask your PDF, whereas like the last year you get like a PDF of 50 pages. And you're like, I don't know, you have to do a financial report and you have to go through it, of course, and read all of the stuff. Nowadays, you just use plugin, like ask your PDF. You tell it, hey, I want to know, like the results from the financial statement from last year in March. And it literally gives you the answer. It scans, the PDF and it tells you what exactly you need. So you save time and you're a lot more efficient. So this is why
Yeah.
sometimes, again, it goes back to what I'm saying as being an AI facilitator. I actually avoid giving people dozens of tools that they need to try out. I focus on the basics if they need more. If they're like specialized people, for example, they're like, I don't know, somebody that wants to make music, right? So there I would try to give them some specific tools that helps them with voice copying, with instruments,
Mm.
with melody. So there I would do more in-depth research. But for people who have like more general needs, I tell them keep it simple, keep it effective. Because
Yeah. I mean,
like
it's
people get
really.
overwhelmed. They see all these lists and it's like, oh, every day you have like 10 new tools, 10 new tools. Like you don't need all of these. Let's be honest here. How many contacts do you have on your phone that you talk to every day? Like 20, 30 people. How many apps do you have that you use every day? Seven, eight. And you think that by
Yeah.
adding every day 20, 30 of them is going to make a difference? We're humans at the end of the day. Keep this in mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, it's
Yeah. It's true. Yeah.
psychology. I work with
Unlike.
humans. The machines support me, but at the end of the day, I know that I'm working with humans.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, unlike the machines, we only have a limited attention span, right?
Yeah.
And limited amounts of focus. Yeah. Um, so it sounds to me, it feels to me like there's a kind of running theme with lots of people I speak to about AI, who are working with it every day, which is, and tell me if you agree with this, there's almost like an 80-20 rule where 80% of the work now you can farm out to the AI, and the 20% that's left is where you're really driving value as a human, as a decision maker, as the like actuator who's making the call on these things and being the kind of creative force, I suppose. Would you
Yes.
agree with that broadly?
Absolutely. I mean, this is excellent said. Like, it's very good the way you put it because that is the purpose of it. The thing is, that's why we created it. The idea is this why like, it ties to what I told you earlier. Is like we designed this to be a tool that allows us to do exactly this. So I don't have to, spend my time writing the same thing 5 times. What I can do is simply like I give the repetitive tasks. I know the prompt that I need to give it to the machine, and it will take care of these repetitive tasks. And I can focus, for example, on the creative part, is like the decision making, as you said, is not like what art am I going to create today? Is it going to be, like about nature, about the human soul? I don't need to think about like what the colors I'm going to use, or like I don't know, what size is going to be my canvas. You can automate all of this maybe to Midjourney, like the size of your image and this kind of things. But the idea is that that's how, if you're doing it properly, that's how AI is supposed to be. It's supposed to take away 80% of the boring stuff and basically help you with the 20% you do the 20% that makes a difference.
Yeah, yeah. Um, Great. Well, look, we're sort of running up against time, so I guess let's have some very final thoughts on where you think we're going to be in 2, 3, 4 years' time. What does the future hold for AI
This
enthusiasts
this
and
is a
just
great
the average
question.
person?
This is a great question simply because like on Twitter, basically it's the spaces that I run every Monday, which is called 2027. because like I have a
Okay.
panel
All
of
right.
like
Yeah. There
five,
you go.
six,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, like a panel of five,
Yeah.
six experts, and we talk about this, like we brainstorm every Monday on this. Basically, it's like where we're gonna go in terms of like embodied AI, like robots using
Mm-hmm.
ChatGPT, to assist us in our daily tasks. Where are we gonna go with like regulations, like for example, video games with NPCs, that are able to talk with you in a dynamic way. So the way I see
Yeah.
it, we're gonna see a lot of change really fast. Because for now, the masses, for example, are not leveraging it, but that doesn't mean that the big players are not working in the background. Nvidia is working, on creating, for example, you see video games that are able to use ChatGPT to have like dynamic speaking, non-playable characters, like NPCs. So before you'd have like, fixed lines, and now you can literally tell them something on your microphone, it will answer back to you. And you know that video games are accessible to all the masses. So people will immediately get in contact with this technology and they're going to see like, oh man, this thing is powerful. And this is again going to be one of those mass applications, that's going to impact public discourse.
Mm.
You're going to have in the future, for example, like ethical regulations in terms like art. Again, like everybody will be able to have their own avatars. So with the amount of automation that you can do, you can make an avatar of you that can talk like you. It looks similar to you. So what we can do is, for example, we can just send our avatars to speak with other avatars,
Yeah.
which is going to be fascinating, to have these kind of like, doubles of you, like Gemini of you in the internet, doing business for you. It's going to be a
Yeah.
fascinating world with a lot of change. And this is why one of the things I advise people is to keep an open mind and try to, see the possibilities here that you can have to be more creative, to help other people, to impact the world because it's a very powerful tool in multiple ways. And 2027, I think it's a year that I'm really looking forward to see how things develop. But in a good way. I think like we're doing good progress with AI, like we're very enthusiastic about it. I like that the big thought leaders, for example, are putting a bit of brakes on it because, for example, like if you asked me this question, like I think 3 or 4 months ago, I'd have been a bit more pessimistic because I was just seeing that the businesses, like they run really fast and nobody's checking on
Mm.
this, and it's not really, it's dangerous. But nowadays I'm seeing more and more like the big people, that are able to program these kind of systems are already saying it's like, hey, we're making them, but we're checking them first. And this is good.
Great. Well, it's been a wonderfully optimistic conversation, which is awesome. So, look, we need to wrap it up.
Yeah.
Where can people find you? Where's the best place to engage with what it is that you're doing?
They can find me on Twitter. I'm Northstar Brain. Name is pretty simple. You will see it's going to be a profile with like black and gold and yellow design. So the colors are really like
Yeah,
it's
all
really
designed
easy.
in Midjourney, I assume.
Don't tell them this. I paid a lot of money, graphic designer, trust me.
Sure,
But yeah,
sure,
no, I'm
sure.
exclusive. Like I'm available on Twitter there. I answer like I'm there. I publish content every day. I interact with the community. You can find me on my website. It's northstarbrain.com. And I essentially like to keep it focused there for now. Like before branching out in other things, like I like to keep it simple, either Twitter, my website. And yeah, I'm open to chats. I'm open to meeting interesting people who are curious about, being smarter, faster, and better with the help of AI.
Awesome. All right. Well, look, thanks very much for joining me, Alex. I've really enjoyed the conversation, and yeah, we'll definitely have to get you back on again sometime soon, I think. So yeah,
Thank you
thanks for
for the
coming on.
invite. Thank you for the invite, Tom. It was lovely to talk with you. You're a wonderful host, and I like that you're open. You're very open-minded. Like I like that you're somebody who's like he's like you were a journalist, and you're like I don't know about copywriting and stuff, but like maybe I can try it out. So that's a very good thing to have. I like that.
Awesome. All right. Thanks, Alex. Take care.
For the listeners and the viewers, have a great evening.
Complete deckheads. We're up and running, baby. Complete deckheads. We're up and running, baby. Complete deckheads. We're up and running, baby. Complete deckheads. We're up and running, baby.